Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signor, and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion is now online on HBO Max. And if you were a fan of the Fresh Prince and you haven't yet watched it, I highly encourage you just log off right now and go put it on. Get a free trial, whatever you got to do. This was the best TV reunion I've seen, I think, ever. I expected to lose it during the Uncle Phil tribute. Losing James Avery, obviously such a loss, but the tears shed by the cast and the stories told, it totally hit me. But I was not prepared to get as emotional as I did during the reunion of Janet Hubert and Will Smith finally coming back together after 27 years. Now, guys, if you don't know this history, I'm going to break it down, then I'm going to show you a little clip again to talk about it and share my reaction here. But, guys, this was epic. Now, before we go to the reunion, let's rewind. Let's go back through the history of what happened between these two. They have said a lot of nasty things throughout the past. And I have some articles here to sort of break down. If you go back, you can Google and remember sort of what these are. But it all stemmed with Janet being upset that Will Smith spread the rumor out that she was fired, which apparently was not the case. But she has gone on in the past saying awful things to Will. And Will has been on radio saying she wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air, talking about how difficult she was on the set. But here was just a recent, just so you get how big this was that they brought together. Here's what Janet has previously said. She's removed a lot of this stuff now, but she said, Will, make no mistake, this video is for you directly. You ain't going to invite me to your red table, so welcome to my butcher block. Now, this butcher block is not just for you. This is my last video. I'm not on this earth much longer, and I will not go to my grave feeling that questions have been unanswered. What misconceptions of me you put out there have never been dealt with, and especially for my son, I am tired. She went on and then bashed not only him, but Alfonso Ribeira, who played Carlton, saying no one but you and your tampon, referring to Alfonso, ouch. I'm just a woman who played a crappy role in a sitcom, which, dear God, I wish I hadn't. The one thing I do regret in my life is ever taking that role, to have worked with someone like you. I've always wanted to ask you, why did you go so far? Why was it so necessary? Why did you want the dance episode cut? Why did you call me back 3 years later and ask me to come back on the show and buy the house because you thought it would be funny after you left me with a child, with no money, with no home? She alleges she was blacklisted from the industry. My life, when you banished me and when you tainted me, when you put your poison in, you poisoned my entire world. Every time I try to have a meeting, every time I tried to call Oprah for help, Oprah's people would say no. She's friends with Will and Janet. Jada will never be. You will never be on the show, Janet, because we can't promote her on the show because she has a very deep, profound friendship to Will. Well, if somebody said your mom is a hoe, and then your reputation. Where was this? Somebody said your mom is a hoe, and that reputation follows you and follows you and follows you and follows you. Your mama becomes a hoe. Turns out she's not just angry at the former co-stars, but the entire black community. Shame on you. You'd rather fight me at a time when I'm going through a devastating crisis in my life. If I could go back and redo anything, I would have turned down Fresh Prince. It was the bane of my existence. It was just a job, and I'm glad you all liked it, but please don't call me Aunt Viv. If you didn't see me at your Thanksgiving table, I'm not your Aunt Honey. Yikes. So she's been going off on these tirades for a while. She is angry. Now, Will has said some things too. Will's been out there. He was not friendly to her afterwards, during. They both were taking public shots for a while. And then Will sort of stopped and just didn't invite her and hasn't really talked about it. However, this is a moment she said would never happen. She's out there saying, I would never reunion with this. And that egomaniac Will Smith, no thanks. Not until I get an apology. Well, Will Smith finally offered an apology. And I got to say, it was amazing. Look, I relate. If you don't know my story, I relate. Obviously, I have a lot of anger still in me. I have a lot of people who I feel like betrayed me, even though I obviously did some wrongs as well. But there's just something about when someone turns their back and just turns away and lets the anger take over, and you don't get to have any resolution. Resolution, man, that's what we all need as human beings, as people. We all make mistakes. We all mess up. But when you can let go and forgive, you become so much stronger. And to see these two grown-ups come together so many years later after so much amazing work they did together, and to see finally Will give her the credit that she's due, let's be honest, she was an integral part of that show. And it's important you respect that, whether you got along on the show or not. But as they brought this together, it was amazing to see Will finally do it. Now, I can't play the whole clip for you. I have one clip I'm going to show you near the end, but Entertainment Week is going to sum it up. But again, I'll get dinged by HBO. As I said in the beginning, if you want to watch it, go watch the show there. But this, just to be clear, there's a lot of other really fascinating parts that they reveal about the show and everything else, stuff I didn't know, how it got made, etc. Go check it out. But obviously, we're here to talk about the Aunt Viv portion because that's the one everyone's been talking about. But as Entertainment breaks down, in the past, the actress has slammed Smith for being an egomaniac. He's fired back with claims that Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air. Smith surprised even his castmates with the reveal that he sat down with Hubert for the first time in 27 years. As a family, this is Will talking, we have our things that we talk about, and then we have our things that we don't talk about. We never really together publicly talk about Janet and what happened. And for me, it felt like I couldn't celebrate 30 years of Fresh Prince without finding a way to celebrate Janet. He then played their honest and raw conversation. After a hug and a long exchange, the OG Viv opened up by saying how tough it's been for her. I just wanted to know one thing. Why? You guys went so far. I lost so much. How do we heal that? Smith says in the scene he talks about, I didn't know your story. I need to hear your story. And she goes, you have no idea. It was insane. She reveals that when she got pregnant during the third season, a lot of things were going on behind the scenes, both for her and Smith's lives. But for her, it was an abusive marriage, which the cast didn't know about. During that time of her pregnancy, I wasn't sensitive, I wasn't perceptive, and I now know that this is Will talking, I wasn't sensitive, I wasn't perceptive, and now that I've had 3 kids, he talks about he's been through a divorce and marriages. I've learned some things that I did not know at the time, and I would do things very differently, admits Smith in a separate confessional to the camera. But I can see where I made the set very difficult for Janet. And here's Will taking accountability, admitting, I was a jerk on the set. And Aunt Viv finally hearing him and accepting this apology and then taking accountability of herself. Hubert explained that she wasn't fired. Instead, she just didn't accept the really bad deal offered to her that meant a reduced salary and not being allowed to work elsewhere. The mother of a newborn and a wife of an out-of-work husband, clearly in a marriage she wasn't happy, she turned it down, but then was recast. I was hurt deeply. She said, when I left the show, I had this new baby and no one. Family disowned me. Hollywood disowned me. My family said, you've ruined our name, and I wasn't unprofessional on that set. I just stopped talking to everybody because I didn't know who to trust because I'd been banished. And they said it was you who banished me, she's saying to Will. Because you were Will. It was hard. She opens up. It's a heartbreaking, honest, raw scene that I, again, can't stress enough. Highly encourage you check it out. Smith then gets into it and reveals that he felt when he was 21 at the time, like everything was a threat. I was so driven by fear, he admits. I have children, I've been divorced, and I have a second marriage, and I can see now the level of pain and the level of struggle that it was just for you to show up every day. Hubert then adds, but you took all of that away from me with your words. Words can kill. I lost everything. Reputation, everything, and I understand you were able to move forward, but those words calling a black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. And it's hard enough being a dark-skinned black woman in this business, but I felt that it was necessary for us to finally move forward, and I'm sorry that I have blasted you to pieces. She refers to so much more into this that, again, check it out. But she talks about how she knew he was going to be famous. They all knew he was famous. They were all sort of excited to be there, and she really wanted him to sort of step up and use his cachet to offer help her with her salary. Everybody. He's like, you're the star. Everybody should be able to do this. This is a previous thing she said. Like friends, come together. Let's step up and let's make sure we all unite and support each other as a family and make sure we got each other's back. But clearly there was animosity. There was difficultiness. She thanked Smith, thanked her for sharing. They were both on the verge of tears as Hubert tenderly put her hand on Smith's face. You're still my Aunt Viv. So that's the part I want to bring you here. And then I want to talk about the fact that there's more to this story somehow, but let's share this quick moment.
I didn't come here to have animosity. I came here to resolve.
And I'm stopping and starting to offer commentary so that way I don't get dinged here by HBO Max. But she's talking about coming here. She didn't want to start a beef. And if you'd watched her on YouTube and other places, you'd think she would just show up to start a beef.
Because it's time.
You still feel like Like I'm little?
Yeah. Yes.
You still my Aunt Viv. You still my Aunt Viv.
Oh, it's so touching. To see two people who are just so at odds with each other, who have had so much hate and anger, to be able to come and as you grow, you realize life is too short. Why do we hold grudges? People can get better. People can learn if we talk to each other. The two people who despised each other are able to see past the differences and realize they're different people now. People grow, people change, people can learn. You can't keep kicking someone down based off your anger or whatever. We all can relate to that. We've all been there, not just me, not just her, not just him. And this is a very touching moment to see them finally connect.
It's so weird. You know, we've said such hateful things about each other publicly. And I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry, too. We good?
We good.
We good.
We are good.
It's really nice to see them bury the hatchet. I enjoy when I see anybody be able to be human and grown up to do that. Now, the one thing people are talking about, there's somebody missing from this photo. There's somebody missing from this photo. When she did show up to the set, he brings it up and says, I'd like to bring it, and everybody's open to it and lets it happen. And in fact, Daphne Reed, who played Aunt Viv in the second part of the series, had never met her, she revealed. And Will Smith was like, wow, we're going to change, they finally, these two Aunt Vivs meet together. And Karen Parsons, who played Hillary, she was there to sort of brings this moment of like, my two moms were finally together. I never have gotten to see them together. It's just a thing. When you get divorced, a lot of kids are just, I wish my parents could sometimes still be together. It's nice that they could all have this moment, because this was a family for them, and there was an estranged member of that family that they were finally able to have peace with. Well, except everybody. There's no Alfonso Ribeiro there. Carlton clearly steps away when this moment happens and did not engage with Janet, even though everyone else was there to move on. I am guessing, based off of a lot of speculation online, as this person says, Alfonso isn't in the pick. There's a reason I respect it. I don't know why, but I can only imagine he didn't like being called a tampon or a media hoe. She has been very vocal against Alfonso for Alfonso having Will's back. And look, as these quotes are here, but I don't want to keep hating on her. I see the effort and the change. I hope it stays. I hope they can use this. But I'm glad and I'm grateful that she's removing these moments from the world, and she's letting this reunion happen. Finally, she's letting it all go. She's trying to move forward, and that's the best we can all do. And if Alfonso's just not ready to do that, so be it. I mean, to me, the fact that he's not ready to do that, and some of the cast member clearly still haven't seen her in 27 years, I find it hard to believe it was just a difficulty thing that Will was doing. It seems to me she was probably a pain in that set. Now, it may have been because she was going through her own personal things, as she said, and she was sort of avoiding everybody, and that would explain why. But it does seem like, look, none of them got along on set. And it seems like it was beyond just season 3. But regardless of what the reasons are, I think it's bravo to Will Smith for having the guts to just put this to bed, for coming forward, whether there's a reason for it, whether they were justified in the reasons for not liking her, whether they were wrong. I think the producers of this special edited this beautifully. They finally gave her a moment of dignity to sort of allow fans to see, man, she really... Because imagine that. You're on this show and then forever you're you were the one who got fired. You were the one who was difficult. And she's never been able to work since, because Will Smith sort of just keeps, tarnishing her name. So for him to finally do the right thing and let it go and just apologize and hear her, and not just be like, yeah, well, you were real, blah, 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 which she sort of tries to do a little bit at the time. She's let it go. I hope both of these people can heal. I hope Alfonso eventually can get a moment with her. Maybe they can heal as well. But clearly there's still some animosity between some of the cast and her. But man, I really, really enjoyed watching that moment. It was just really filled my heart, just as it said, Tatiana Lee, who played Ashley, said, my heart is full at this moment. It is just nice to see people be able to move on and forgive. And we all need to do that better. We all need to be better and help each other be better people to move on. Not everyone can do it. It's not easy. But when you can, you really can feel a relief. And I'm grateful for them to be able to do this. Bravo to Will Smith, the team, the whole cast and crew. HBO Max for putting on this amazing piece. Go check it out. I loved it. I can't suggest it high enough. It's made me want to go back and watch some more Will Smith, Fresh Prince, which I had started before. I'm going to get back into it. So a lot of you guys, if you checked it out, what did you think? Do you think there's still more drama there? Is this finally a good way to let it go? Whatever Alfonso thinks. Do you like how they edited it? Tell me all your thoughts down below or hit me up on social media. Lots more coming here on Popcorn Planet, so stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, hit that top button on the left or click these videos below. Thanks for watching, everybody. In West Philadelphia, born and raised in the playground is where I spent most of my days.